Jim, how about at Ciena? You want to give us a specific example? I know you all are sort of the backhaul of the backhaul, and no doubt there's some specific examples where you all have been able to really, again, unlock these capabilities.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you two examples, one towards the edge of the network and one, kind of in the core. And, again, we talked a fair bit about tech debt, and a lot of the DoD infrastructure, base infrastructure, actually even, in the Space Force areas, there's a lot of equipment that's been in place for decades. I mean, we heard about back in the 80s. We don't run into stuff that's quite that old, but actually, 30-year-old stuff is not at all uncommon. And actually, some of the sensors and some of the infrastructure still aren't able to be replaced yet, though they still want to be able to run over modern, high capacity infrastructure. So how do you to continue to maintain some of these older systems that are multiple decades old, that use older protocols, and you want to be able to carry that data, but you don't want to maintain all the old infrastructure from end to end. So what you want to be able to do is at least modernize the transport side of the infrastructure and the carriage of the data while still supporting your edge devices. And so we have the capability of still taking in information from the older protocols and the older sensors and older information generation equipment, and being able to translate those protocols to modern Ethernet type technologies and provide an infrastructure that's 10, maybe even 100 times more capable from a speed perspective, while still supporting those legacy platforms that you can't get rid of because they're still mission critical. But while being able to support growth on the more modern platforms. So you get a modern infrastructure that can support all of your new services while still supporting some of your old ones, and giving yourself time actually to migrate. So to provide a graceful modernization to a infrastructure that has much higher capacity. And then if we look at in the core of the networks, which is where the typically the high capacity data exists. High capacity used to mean like 10 gig, which sounds like a lot, and it still is a lot to an individual user. But in the core, modern networks have moved way beyond that. But we've been able to support the upgrade of the core infrastructure from actually over 100 times. So wasn't too long ago 10 gig was relatively common. Now we're actually, what's common is 100 gigs, so 10 times that. Yep. And within the next year, there's going to be terabits. So it's a factor of 100. And so if that, which sounds like how could we use all that? But if you look at what folks are doing actually across the network, both commercially and within the government, there is so much information from video and high definition sensors. Actually, I think Ken was talking about moving from people to people to machine. All the AI and the training data, vast amounts of data that really needs to be interconnected and exchanged between these data centers. And without these super high capacity highways, which we've enabled, you can't do it. So it's a whole new class of capabilities really that are enabled.
Absolutely super high bandwidth capabilities. The more bandwidth you give them, the more they'll consume, no